Hello and welcome to the Twin Peaks podcast. My name is Dan.
My name's Nicole.
And this is a movie-based podcast where we talk about two films based on a theme, but not this week, because this week it's a Picks episode and we're picking LGBTQ movies. What we always do is I pick three, you pick three, and then we knock two out of each other's list to come up with the final two for the next episode. So, getting straight into it, my first pick is a documentary called Disclosure.
Okay.
Number 2, Moonlight.
Awesome.
And number 3, Boy Erased.
Interesting. Oh, this is going to be difficult. Okay. That gets rid of one of my films. All right. First pick is Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Fucking knew it.
Next pick is El Angel. And my last pick, Portrait with a Lady on Fire.
So to recap then, I've chosen Disclosure, Moonlight and Boy Erased, and you've chosen Priscilla, Queen of the... I've written Queen of the Desert, but I meant to say Desert. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, El Angel and Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I'm going to knock out El Angel immediately.
Oh, not surprised.
Sorry.
It's based on a true story. It's a Spanish film. Based on like a Bonnie and Clyde version, but of two guys. I expected you to get rid of that film out of those three. Out of yours, I'm going to get rid of Disclosure.
Oh, bollocks. Okay.
Really?
I'm still going to watch this because, this looks super interesting. So Disclosure is a documentary. On Letterboxd, the tagline is Trans Lives on Screen. And it's an investigation of how Hollywood's fabled stories have deeply influenced how Americans feel about transgender people and how transgender people have been taught to feel about themselves. Now, I never heard of this, but as I was doing research for this show, I came across this. It's on Netflix, and it sounds super interesting. And one of the talking heads in it is Laverne Cox, who's in Promising Young Woman. She's in. She plays Kerry Mulligan's boss in the cafe that she works in. So what remains is Moonlight and Boy Erased in my list, and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert and Portrait of a Lady on Fire in your list. So I'm gonna start with Moonlight then. So Moonlight is one of these Oscar-y films that gets a lot of buzz, but I'm not particularly interested in because it gets a lot of buzz. Having said that, there's a lot of people that rate this film. It's got I'm looking on Letterboxd now. There's nothing below a 3.5 as far as I can tell. Fairly recent one, 2016, directed by Barry Jenkins, 111 minutes long. The tagline reads, "This is a story all about how my life got turned upside down." No. This is a story of a lifetime. That's the tagline. And the synopsis reads, "The tender, heartbreaking story of a young man's struggle to find himself, told across 3 defining chapters in his life as he experiences the ecstasy, pain, and beauty of falling in love while grappling with his own sexuality." And Boy Erased. I mentioned Joel Edgerton last week when I spoke about the film Warrior. He stars in Warrior. He's one of the main cast. But he directed this film, and it came out in 2018. It's 115 minutes long. Nicole Kidman's in this, and Russell Crowe. I didn't know Russell Crowe was in it. But the tagline reads, "The truth cannot be converted." So that might give you a clue as to what it's about. And the synopsis reads, Jared, the son of a Baptist pastor in a small American town, is outed to his parents at age 19. Jared is faced with an ultimatum: attend a gay conversion therapy program or be permanently exiled and shunned by his family, friends, and faith. So it's about one of these stupid magic change your sexuality camps that they've got. That is fascinating, that that subject to me. There is another film that's along a similar lines, which I'll discuss in our honourable mentions. But that's it. So, what have you got for me on Priscilla, Queen of the Desert? Sorry,
Yeah,
Queen of the Desert.
that's what I'm gonna call it from now on.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Priscilla, the Queen of the Desert. It came out in 1994, directed by Stephen Elliott. And the tagline is, "She's back, looking as gorgeous and outrageous as ever in a brand new frock." Synopsis: two drag queens and a transgender woman contract to perform a drag show at a resort in the Alice Springs, a town in the remote of Australian desert. As they head west from Sydney, aboarded their lavender bus, Priscilla and the three friends come to a forefront of a comedy of errors, encountering a number of strange characters, as well as incidents of homophobia, whilst widening comfort zones and finding new horizons.
Okay.
Hugo Weaving's in it. Guy Pearce is in this film.
Oh, yeah.
I think I put this film on the Aussie picks back when Albert was on the show, and he instantly got rid of this pick. But
Yeah,
you were kind of
it's not an
interested
Albert
to
film.
watch this. Yeah. Yeah.
I am interested to watch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why I've never got around to it, but I will at some point. Maybe for this one, who knows? But probably not.
And my other pick is Portrait of a Lady on Fire. It came out in 2019, directed by Celine Sharma. Tagline is "Don't regret, remember." And the synopsis is, on an isolated island in Brittany at the end of the 18th century, a female painter obliges to paint a wedding portrait of a young woman. I watched this film for the first time last year, and it was amazing. I don't think me saying that will overhype it for you if you choose this film. That's all I'm gonna say. And it's Queen Priscilla, I haven't seen before, but it's something that I've wanted to watch. But
yeah,
it's up to you what you're thinking.
Okay. So yeah, I remember you talking about Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I think you mentioned it to me before, and I remember it coming out. There was a lot of buzz about it I watch a lot of movie YouTube channels, and there was a lot of channels singing its praises. So it's been on my radar for a little while now, as long as it's been out. And Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, I remember. I was 10 when that came out. I remember it coming out and premiering on Sky Movies. That's how old I am. Awesome. So, do you want to know anything about Moonlight? I think.
Yeah, I watched that after it won Best Oscar. I think I went to see it in the cinema maybe a week or two later. So I've seen that film. Okay. Boy Erased, I know what it's about. So you haven't seen either of these films?
Actually, might be for the first time ever. I haven't seen any of our 6 that we chose initially. So yeah, everything that remains I've not seen. So it's not a question of if I've seen it or not. It's just a question of what I'm more interested by. And I know what I'm going to choose out of your films. I know which way I'm leaning, mate. What about you?
I don't know, because I'm more than happy to watch Moonlight again, but I don't know if I should watch Boy Erased because I haven't seen this film before, and I'm inclined to. I wonder why you've chosen these films in particular.
Honestly, there are other films that I would have chosen above these,
Okay.
but availability, etc.
Yeah.
But there's still films that I want to watch. There were just a couple of others that I was like, oh fuck, I really wish I could have put that on.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, so go on. What are you going to choose?
Well, I had Moonlight on my honorable mentions, so I don't know. You giving me that look is a good sign or a bad sign to choose that film.
What would you rather watch for the next episode? A film you haven't seen, or a film that you've seen and know is good?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna choose Moonlight.
Okay.
I wonder what you would think of this film.
Okay, cool. So we're going to knock out Boy Erased and we're going to keep Moonlight. In your list, I'm knocking out The Adventures of Priscilla, the Queen of the Desert, because I really want to watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason. So we've done it then. So for the next episode, we're going to be discussing Moonlight and Portrait of a Lady on Fire as part of our LGBTQ theme. It's my turn to do the quiz, so I'll come up with something in the last minute, I expect. But I've got some honourable mentions here. There was a film that I really wanted to put on, but I had a feeling you were going to choose it because when I went on Letterboxd, it's in your want to watch list. It's called Lingua Franca.
So I had Call Me by Your Name. I honestly thought that you potentially were going to choose that film, but you didn't.
Yeah, I was considering it, but I knew that I would fall into the trap of talking about a certain actor in it. And I really don't want to. So,
Okay.
yeah, brilliant film, fantastic film.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got one for you. Bound. It was directed by
Bound.
the Wachowskis in 1996, just before they made The Matrix. It's an interesting one because the Wachowskis wanted to make The Matrix, but the studio were a little hesitant because the new filmmakers, not quite sure of their abilities. So what the studio said is, look, make this little low budget film that you got called Bound, and then we'll see how we go. And it stars Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon, and Joe Pantoliano's in it as well. Yeah, really, really good film, mate.
I'll mention two. So the director who created Portrait of a Lady on Fire also did another two films. One called Water Lilies, which I've never seen before, and Tomboy, which I think I mentioned on the podcast last year. And Tomboy's great. I really enjoyed that film, but couldn't have all three of her films as options. So,
Miseducation of Cameron Post. Now, this is similar to Boy Erased in that it's about conversion therapy.
okay.
But this one stars Chloe Grace Moretz. But I really want to watch this, but it wasn't available, and the closest thing I could get was Boy Erased, so that's why I chose the Boy Erased instead.
I had Shiva's Baby, which I really wanted to put that film on this, but it's like not on any platform. You can't even rent it, or you can't even rent it here in Australia. So
access denied.
Access denied. I think it's probably relatively new. And maybe because of COVID reasons, that's why it's not available over here yet.
Honestly, I was going to put Portrait of a Lady on Fire on, but I kind of knew that you were going to choose it. So a bit of strategy there.
That was last minute I chose that film.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Got any others?
Yeah. Initially, I was thinking of putting Freeheld instead of Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which has Julianne Moore and Elliot Page. They're a couple, and one of them is dying. I don't know if she has passed or she's dying. And because they're a couple, she has no right to any of her partner's belongings after she dies. So it's a court case regarding that, because in a heterosexual couple, it would be a whole different situation. The last two I had was Tangerine. I watched that. I think it was like one of the last films I watched last year. And I didn't particularly love it, but I was maybe thinking about putting it on again just to see if my opinion changed. And Holding the Man, which is an Aussie-based film about two guys who I think that lifelong friends, and they finally go out together, but one of them ends up having AIDS. So that's what the storyline is based on. And I thought maybe you would enjoy this film, but there was other films that I wanted to put on the pod instead. So any others?
I've got a couple more. Love, Simon. Like you were just saying about Tangerine. I didn't love Simon. But I did appreciate what it was going for. It was kind of because have you seen it?
I have seen it, and I think one of my good mates who is gay. I think he either came out around the same time or he absolutely loved this film purely on the message about it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's what I liked about it. I thought it was a really good message, but just because it was a bit of a teen comedy it was a bit weak for me. But I liked what it was going for. I also had Dallas Buyers Club because I think it's a really, really good film, but I didn't fancy watching Jared Leto, so I didn't choose it.
Really?
Yeah, it's got Jared Leto in it, and he's playing a trans character, and it's a really good film.
Yeah.
But it's still Jared Leto. I've still got to look at his face for 2 hours, and I don't really want to do that. So that concludes my list of films that I was considering, mate. You got any others?
I had a very English Scandal, but it's got Hugh. One of the Hughes. What's the Hugh?
Bonneville, Jackman.
It's Hugh Grant is in it, and I'm not sure if you're a big fan of him. And that's about it for me.
Awesome. So we've done it then. We've chosen our 2 movies for the next episode. So don't forget to tune in next week where we're going to be covering Moonlight and Portrait of a Lady on Fire as part of our LGBTQ theme. As we said, it's back to me to do the quiz. So yeah. Returneth next week to listen to the next episode. Don't go away now. Come back. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to catch up with us on Instagram, you can do at TwinPixPod. Also on Twitter at TwinPixPod. If you want to email the show, you can do on twinpixpod@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, you can do on kofi.com/TwinPixPodcast. What about you, mate?
You can find me on Instagram at Chikanika or Nika Creative.
Cool. So we've done another one, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.